In this video, I want to highlight the following to you. So probably you haven't heard anyone talking about this before. But don't you know that the Most High haunts those that are against Him? Now, He is the Most High. There are certain things only He can do the best. That's why we don't do everything He does. There are certain things only He can do, because He has the ability and the intelligence to do it far better than we do. So there are certain things only reserved for Him. We understand that. Even if there are certain things that the Most High does that we shouldn't do ourselves, we should still be inspired by those things that only He does. We don't do exactly that same thing, but we do similar in agreement with Him. One thing, God creates life out of nothing. We can't do that. So it's out of question for us to copy Him in that direction. No. So we're not going to try to create life out of nothing, because we never can do that. We never will be able to do that. But what we can do is look at what God did, speaking things into existence, and we are inspired by it, so we begin to decree and declare goodness into existence. And the power of God will work it out, and because He is sovereign, He will decide how it works out. So the thing He does, because only He can do it, creating life out of nothing, we can't copy that at all. That's out of question. But we do things in line with what He's doing, inspired by what He did. You get what I'm saying here? For example, God raises the dead. We can't raise the dead. What we can do is, when we see a situation in a neighborhood that's falling apart, we decree life in the situation, and we enforce by faith justice in the situation. And the well-being of that community is revived. So we don't literally raise the dead, but we do things that are like it in line with Christ. I hope you get what I'm saying here. Now let's go to one thing the Most High is doing that the saints of old, that means in the Old Testament, understood, and even saints in the New Testament. I mean, in the time that the New Testament was written, I mean the Gospels and the book of Revelations. They understood something that many believers today can't grasp, because many believers of today have been brainwashed by centuries of indoctrination and false gospels. The thing I'm talking about is the Most High haunts. Not haunt of hunting like you're hunting on an animal. Haunt by what they call in the world stalking and chasing after. Not out of obsession, or let me say it like this. It's just as the government is chasing after a criminal. They will send agents where the criminal is to see what he's doing, and they will hinder, frustrate, and limit that criminal. When the government does it, we don't call it stalking, because it's the government doing it. When an individual out there without legislation does it, we call it stalking. So when the government does it, it's law enforcement, and when individuals out there without legislation do it, it's stalking. In both cases, you pursue someone, but not to benefit them. That doesn't mean that you automatically want to harm them, but you're chasing them to stop them or to hinder them. Now, governments may have a legitimate reason why they're hunting when they're hunting someone. For example, if you have a child molester that's raped many kids, then it's rightfully so that the authorities are after him, and they're making things hard on that individual, and they're hindering the individual. Why? Because that individual is an evildoer, and he or she will keep spreading their filth at expense of the human community. So it's good for them to hunt them. Now, if you have a love interest that became abusive towards you, and you left him and he's after you, no, that's illegitimate. That's negative. That's different. Okay? So what I mean is, the Most High, He haunts those that are against Him. You can say similar to what the government does to evildoers, because it's not similar to what frustrated narcissists do with their spouses or exes. It's not like that. The Most High, contrary to the frustrated narcissist who just want to be vindicated at all costs, he has a right reason to hunt those who are against him. Because everyone that's against him enables harm in heaven and on earth. Now, in heaven, it can't happen anymore because those that caused harm in the heavens have been kicked out. It's only in the earthly realm that you still have enablers and supporters and sponsors of evil. Now, when you read the word, it says that God opposes the proud, but he gives grace to the humble. What does oppose mean? Oppose means that you have an attitude against something. If I oppose, if I oppose some legislation, it doesn't just mean I say I'm against it, I don't want to hear about it. Anytime we mention it, I flee from it. That's having a dislike against something. That's disliking something. It's still a resistance, but it's mild resistance because you're just fleeing from something. But when I oppose something, I'm actively making policies and actions against whatever I'm opposing. Because I'm determined not to allow it to succeed. For example, people can say that they don't like rain, but you don't, and because they don't like rain, they wear an umbrella. They know they can't stop it from raining, so they pick up an umbrella. But let's say people say they oppose rain. Now they try to influence the weather with human technology by drying clouds. At least that's what they try to do to prevent it from raining. Now they're opposing the rain. So to flee from something because you don't want to bear with it, that's what disliking is, and to oppose something means to fight something. I hope that's clear. Narcissists, or rather the reprobates, they oppose the truth. So they take actions against the truth. Now you don't have to hate what you oppose. It can just be that what you're opposing is not beneficial. Let's say that someone has undergone surgery and now they want to use cocaine as a painkiller. A medical professional would oppose that idea. And he may call the authorities and he may take action against that happening. Why? Not because he hates the patient, not because he has any personal vendetta against that thing called cocaine, but he, as a medical professional who's dedicated to the health of human beings, knows if someone had a surgery and used cocaine as a painkiller, you will harm the individual. So it's not out of hatred, nor out of frustration, it's more out of general and universal goodwill that medical professionals opposes the use of cocaine. When the narcissist opposes something, it's out of hatred, it's out of frustration, it's him or her wanting to dump their negative energy. With the Most High, it's not like that because the Most High doesn't have negative energy, there's no darkness in him. When the Most High opposes something, it is because that thing he's opposing will not bring any good for anyone. Okay? So when it comes to evildoers, the Most High doesn't have an emotional filth against people like reprobates do against other folks. The Most High doesn't have frustration against them. He has none of that. The Most High simply opposes evildoers because they bring destruction on themselves and on everyone in heaven and on earth. Now in heaven it can't happen anymore, but they'll bring destruction on the whole universe. That's what evildoers would do. So the Most High opposes them. That implies that the Most High doesn't have to search for them, doesn't have to research because he knows everything already. That's his advantage. The Most High will cause hindrance in their ways to make sure they will acknowledge him. Whether they acknowledge him voluntarily by surrendering or they have to acknowledge him out of necessity, that's on them. But they will acknowledge the Most High no matter what. The Most High is dedicated to this. He opposes the proud. Those who are willing to comply with him, they receive all the benefits of heaven and earth. That's how the Most High operates. And that's the right thing. Now check this out. I mentioned before in this video there are certain things only the Most High does because he's the only one who can do it. For example, creating life out of nothing or raising dead, we can't do that. There are things that the Most High does that we can copy him in, but there are things only he can do. But even things that we can't do ourselves, we are inspired by those things. You get what I'm saying? So remember what I said about that. And remember also what I said, that the Most High haunts those that are against him. We should be inspired by that. In the word it's written, avenge not yourself, but leave place for wrath. It didn't say God's wrath, it just said leave place for wrath. And then it says, because one said, vengeance is mine, I will repay. Now, a lot of people misunderstand what's written there. It says leave place for wrath. Whose wrath? The wrath of evildoers, the wrath of those that refuse to comply with justice. So God is saying leave place for wrath, because what happens often, we human beings, we want to shut down the wrath of the reprobate. And there's nothing wrong with wanting to shut it down, because the wrath, or rather the rage of reprobate, brings harm and it spreads filth. So they spread danger with it. So it's naturally for us to want to shut down the rage of the reprobate. If we would just sit down and allow the reprobate to rage and to throw objects and destroy everything, that would be enabling the reprobate. So naturally, we should take action against the wrath of the reprobate, or the wrath of those that persist against Christ. But then, when it comes to you individually, the Most High says, avenge not yourself. Why not? Because a reprobate is a reprobate. And those that enable the reprobate, they may not be reprobates themselves, but they are enabling danger. And you individually, as a human being, shutting them down will likely draw you in danger. That's why the Most High says, beloved, do not avenge yourself, but leave place for wrath. So God is telling you, okay, they want to persist in this negativity, they want to persist in danger, they always have the reasons. If it's good for you that you took action against them, against what they're doing, but they know you're taking action against them and they still persist in it, they become dangerous. So now, beloved, you need to see it as it is. It's not you stalking them because you want something from them. It's not you bothering them. It's not you violating them. Because you're right. They should repent and comply with justice. But look at this. They have turned into vile evildoers. And those that enable it are enabling predators. They're enabling danger. They're dedicated to this enablement of danger. So for you to deal with them means that you need to be involved in danger, and that will not work out for you. And they want you in their danger. That's why they refuse to comply. That's why they persist in the negative. That's why they kept attacking you. That's why they keep holding grudges against you. That's why they persist in bitterness. Leave place for wrath. I know how I'm going to deal with this, the Most High says. You shake the dust off your feet. That doesn't mean that you forget it, because they're still around on the earth. I tolerate them around. They're still around, so you should be alert concerning them. But you shake off their danger from you. When you do that, you left them in their rot. You've left them in the danger holding on to. And vengeance is mine, because what they're doing is against me. It's really ultimately me that they're against. They're just taking it out on you. So I will repay. So whatever they cost you, or whatever danger they brought on you, or whatever bad thing they're enabling against you with their attitude, I'll make sure that it will work out in your favor. I will repay you all the seconds of your life and all that they have cost you. I'll repay. That's what the Most High is saying. The Most High is not against you taking proper actions against evildoers. He's not against it at all, because when you read in the Old Testament, the Most High was against the neglect of the Israelites concerning enforcing justice. But what the Most High is saying, when they when they are heading towards reprobation and you realize that they persist in the danger, shake it off you and you get my backup. Now look, let's say you have police officers, okay? You have a police officer with several colleagues, and you have those youth, and you have those youth. They have these. How do I say? I don't want to say gangsters because it sounds too glorifying toward it. But okay, but you have these guys in the streets. They're in their 30s. They used to be part of a youth gang, but they're still involved in gang activity. And they cause trouble in the community. So you have police officers going after them. And the police officers are doing what they're supposed to do, policing the community. But after several weeks, those men have hardened themselves. They became worse. Every time now they see a police officer, they want to fight, they want to explode. And the police officers, they have weapons, so they're armed. So every time you point their gun, they would leave. After 2 months, those I don't want to say street dogs, okay, but those criminals now have armed themselves. So now they're saying, let that police officer come and I'll blow his brains out. And what happens now? The head of the police corps tells the officers, shake it off. And then the police officers tell their superior, sir, we were taught in academy that we have to serve and protect. Those people causing harm to the community, they ought to be dealt with. And then the superior tells them, I agree with you. That's why I'm pointing to you in that neighborhood. But listen, I'm not going to sacrifice your well-being just because they need to be dealt with. Yes, they need to be dealt with, and you did the right thing by taking proper actions. But they have chosen to become dangerous, and now they're enabling danger unto everyone. I'm not going to sacrifice your lives, officers. I am going to send backup, in which you guys don't have to do anything anymore. You did what you have to do. They persist in danger, so now I will send backup. So after that, the officers don't even bother with the criminals anymore, and the criminals think they've won. And now they're proud, walking around, being very tough. But then, one day, you have 2 SWAT teams that arrest them all, and they're removed completely from the neighborhood. Now what happened? When the head of the police corps found out that those criminals were arming themselves against the police officers, he saw this is getting out of hand. I need to protect my men out there. So as the head of the police corps, he did what he had to do. He gave his police officers instructions to shake off the situation from them and to entrust the situation onto him. And he sent undercover agents who got close to the gang and eventually found out all the secrets about the gang, and the gang was rolled up. And the police officers now were left unharmed. So when God said, do not avenge yourself and leave place for wrath, he's actually telling you it's not you. Okay? It's not you that is escalating. They choose to escalate because they're against me. So you know what? I will repay you. And the Most High will invest in you, and he, meanwhile, hands them over to their self-destruction. And in the future, when the Most High sees fit, he will remove them from the earth. They'll die physically anyway, so they need to be resurrected, and then we'll remove them permanently. Nevertheless, understand this. The Most High, he takes action against those that are against him. He haunts those that are against him. We are not the Most High. But that doesn't mean that we just have to sit still and allow our enemies to become stronger against us. That doesn't mean that we have to sit still and become a doormat for all the filth and rage of the world. No. We take proper action. Not out of anger, not out of spite, not out of violence, but we enforce repercussions to guarantee safety. That's what we do. But likely there are many that will revolt against the repercussions, and they'll become worse and become more dangerous. What do we do then? We shake the dust off our feet, which is symbolic to we shake off that influence from us by remaining active in other projects. That doesn't mean that we've given up. It doesn't mean that they've won. They haven't won. Why? Because the Most High is going to repay unto us all that we've endured. Meanwhile, there's far bigger judgment coming for them. If they surrender to your judgment in line with Christ, it would have benefited them. But now, there's far bigger judgment coming after them, and their resistance against that bigger judgment is going to be their doom completely. That's why it's written, avenge not yourself. It didn't say, avenge not yourself and find a way to deal with whatever they're doing to you. Or allow them to roam around because they have a free will, they have a right to do it. No, 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 no. That's not what the Most High said. He said, avenge not yourself, beloved, but leave place for wrath. Because vengeance is mine, I'll repay. Who's going to repay you? Why would the Most High pay evildoers? What wage could he give them? That self-destruction that comes upon them is something they're working hard for. That negativity they are continuing in will destroy them in the long run. But meanwhile, they want to afflict everyone else with that negativity. And that's why the Most High wants you to shake dust off your feet so that the negativity will not stick at you. It's your safety and your well-being and your joyous state, your happiness that the Most High is after. Not them. Because they're holding on to damnation, they're holding on to doom. So why would the Most High invest in their doom? The Most High is about life and abundance. They are about doom, rage, out of control. That's what they're in. So why would the Most High invest in it? No, the Most High is going to invest in you, not in the evildoer. And look at this, ultimately, it's the Most High that's taking actions against them. So the Most High used your initiative and your sound mind as a tool to take action against them. You were not aware of it. So now that they persist in reprobation, the Most High relieves you from this responsibility, and now the Most High is going to repay you. So it's not that the Most High is protecting their quote-unquote rights to be negative, because you don't have that. The Most High is showing his faithfulness to you. Now, why am I recording this video? It's because too many believers, they tolerate things they shouldn't tolerate. I'm not talking about things like disrespect and all that, because respect is a social construct. I'm not going into respect and validation and all that worldly crap. What I mean is, you as a believer, if there are people becoming frightened, is evildoers should be frightened of you. Now, you're not looking for the fright of other people, no, because you're not into fright. But if there is someone they ought to be frightened of, it's you. Think about the prophet Samuel. I know this Old Testament, but I would have to use it. When the prophet Samuel arrived at the house of Jesse, who's David's father, Jesse asked him, are you here for peace or are you here for trouble? Why would Jesse ask that? It's because Samuel had a reputation of being very fierce. With Samuel, it's similar to Elijah. Elijah was born far later, and Elijah lived far later. But Samuel was similar to Elijah. When repercussions had to be enforced against evil and evildoers, Samuel did it. Samuel was very firm in it. So everyone in the nation of Israel knew, with Samuel, nobody can expect things they can't account for. And a lot of us continue in darkness. If Samuel's around, it's either he's showing mercy to enable us to do better, either or if it's not mercy, we're finished. It's one of the two. Because they knew Samuel is not going to pamper you in your negativity. Samuel is not going to enable you to will whatever you will and expect others to just take it. Now, there are churches that tell you, you see what's written there? People were frightened of Samuel. It shouldn't be like this. We should be welcomed by others. This is what the church are teaching you. That's a very dangerous teaching. Look, in the world, you don't only have decent people in the world. The decent ones in the world will likely become born again and serve Christ. But apart from the decent ones, you also have narcissistic folks, You have reprobates over there, you have child molesters, you have serial rapists, you have murderers, you have cowards, you have very vile people. You have a lot of dangerous creeps out there. And unfortunately, worldly people, even those that are decent, they enable them because even the decent people of the world have a narcissistic attitude that they're not aware of. That's why you need to become born again and delivered. So you're telling me now that as a believer, people should feel welcome and embrace you. Okay, but what if a narcissistic sociopath feels welcome concerning you and embraces you? Is that a good sign? No, it's not. Because a predator will only embrace you if they can withdraw from you, if they can feed off of you. So a predator should never feel comfortable around the believer. Never. So what happens to Samuel was a good thing. And David's father Jesse was not right either. He was a man that was let's say, I'm not going to talk too much about Jesse. Let me say like this. He was wrong, Jesse. Let me say it like that. And if you read the Old Testament, around the story, you'll understand why. So this Jesse had the reason to be frightened by Samuel's presence. And that's how all predators or people that enable predation ought to be concerning believers. They have reason to be frightened of believers. What you see now is that many of such people that they're either enabling predation or they are predators themselves, they're very comfortable around believers, even want believers to be around them. They even support believers. How can those that persist against the Most High, how can they be so in love? How can they be so welcome of those that follow the Most High? That doesn't add up. And that's why many believers remain stuck, and that's why many believers they're stuck in cycles, and they keep praying and praying, but deliverance never comes. Because they don't walk in the footsteps of the Most High. They don't walk in the footsteps of Christ. The Most High haunts those that are against Him. Now, you are not the Most High, but you still should take an example of what He's doing. There should be spiritual repercussions on those that are against you. And if they persist and become and they escalate into danger, the Most High commands you, shake the dust off your feet, I will repay you. Because it's the Most High ultimately they are against. But now in church, they take one verse out of context and they tell believers to become a pleasant, good victim and to absorb all the violence of the world around you. Now Christ absorbed the violence of the world. He allowed them to kill Him, and he redeemed the human population by doing that. But that's Christ, and He's risen. You're not Christ, okay? So you're not supposed to absorb the violence of the world. You ought to walk in the resurrection power of Christ to overcome the violence of the world. That's what you ought to do. Because Christ Himself, He allowed Himself to be victimized and to become the Lamb of God, so that He would rise again as the Lion of Judah. You walk in that resurrection power. That is what it means to walk by faith. But a lot of believers, they're stuck with church doctrine that says forgive and forget, always seek peace. Yes, we should seek peace with other people. Yes, we should, as far as it depends upon us, get along with other people. We shouldn't be obsessive stalkers that go after folks because we're hurt. We shouldn't be like that. I understand that. Nevertheless, there should be practical repercussions. And our attitude must be firm. Nobody can will for free. When believers start having that attitude, like believers of old had, of centuries ago, if believers start having that again, you'll see how many predators will be destroyed quickly. You'll see how many satanic strongholds will just dissolve like that. Then you'll see how many predators will lose their minds and they'll either commit suicide or they'll devour each other. Because they can't handle that they are shut down by believers. Yes, we should shut evildoers down. We should shut reprobates down. Christ's way. Shaking the dust off your feet, it's you demanding backup from the Most High. It's not you saying, okay, they've won, I should leave them alone, and I should just find a way to deal with their presence. No, 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 no. You shaking the dust off your feet is you demanding backup from the Most High. Is you saying to the Most High, Lord, you're the one tolerating them on the earth. The earth belongs to you. You're the one tolerating them, and this is what they're doing. This is the harm they're causing, and this is the effect it has. As a responsible human being, I took proper actions against it, and now they're becoming worse. Some of them are plotting against my well-being, against my life, against my family, against my prosperity. Lord, this is on you, because you're the one tolerating them alive. You know what's going to happen then? Then the Holy Spirit will tell you, you're correct. You're not going to put up with this. I'm going to repay you for all that happened to you. It's all going to work out well for you. Meanwhile, my backup is already dealing with them. That's what it is. The moment believers align themselves completely with Christ and they walk as Christ walked, you'll see how much evil will just dissolve like that. You'll see many evildoers come to ruin quickly. Now you have many evildoers that are thriving temporarily and they're having a good time. While victimizing others, it's because believers do not enforce justice as Christ commanded them to do. Believers should start doing that again. Well, that's it for now. Keep agreeing with Christ and be at peace.